Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm loud. Hey, thank you for coming and hanging in there for the last session. Appreciate you being here. Matt and I are going to talk about power mobility for a couple very uniquely challenging cases. We both work at University of Michigan. Been there quite a long time. Been doing power mobility since the Do-It system. For those of you who've been around long enough for that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about a couple children, two of the children with very different significant physical disabilities, how we troubleshot, what we were going to do. And the first child we're going to talk about we started seeing her when she was 4 years old, and learning objectives are on there. I'm not going to take the time. She could walk, but she couldn't move her arms. This is just all arm swing. So the problem is she couldn't protect herself. She was getting ready to start kindergarten, and we know she's going to get knocked over. She used her feet a lot for drawing, but you can tell there's even some lower extremity weakness. She hasn't been diagnosed with anything. Even now, she's 8 years old, and she's been to rare diseases. Anybody has any thoughts afterwards, feel free to reach out to me. But she had a big desire for independence. We did a power mobility trial just to see what are her access. Couldn't put her in a manual chair. There's no way for her to move it. We thought we knew what was going to happen. I'm just going to let both of these play so you can see. This is the first trial. We put her in this. We had it at our clinic. We thought we knew what we were going to do. She taught us. As you can see, she got very creative of what she was doing. This is her very first time in it. She's figuring it out, what she's going to do and how she's going to go. I'll ask you not to take pictures, please. Parents have given me permission to show these to you guys, but not to have them out there. Thank you. And she was showing us what she could do to become independent. Then we put her in a power chair we had, just getting her to see how she did with the chin joystick. And again, this is her very first day in this, which was crazy. And obviously you can tell it's during COVID. So then it was, what are we going to come up with? How are we going to let her be independent in the kindergarten classroom? Because if somebody has to pick her up and put her in the chair, she has no shoulder girdle, so you're going to have to scoop her like a baby and under her bottom. So we were trying to get her to be as independent as possible.
Even in one of the other demo trials, we put a tray.
Matt, I'm going to let Matt talk about what I told him. We needed something that she could get into the chair, needed a chin joystick. He's going to talk about what we wrote up, because we got to switch the mics.
But even in one of the demo chairs we tried, we did a tray, drilled a hole, put a joystick in there, trying to get her to use her arms. She immediately I had the other joystick on there. She just immediately bent right over, used her chin on that other joystick. And that was the decision maker right there. So we decided, stayed with one manufacturer. We did the Motion Rovi because of all the other power options that we wanted to do with that. We wanted to make sure she had elevate so we could get her right low to the floor, so she could actually step right up onto the foot platform. She could get in. The power boom is actually operated while the chair is off, so she has a separate button that she used with her knee that could swing in, and a on-off switch on her headrest, so she could actually do everything. Turn on the chair, and then she could bring in the power chest boom, which is the only thing we didn't get on video for some reason. But then she could operate the power chest boom, bring that in. So we really didn't need any type of a pelvic belt at that point.
And I was paying attention, trying to get the videos to roll. Did you say that there was a egg switch by her leg to turn on the chair?
Correct. No, the egg switch was in her headrest.
No, it was on her leg. And then we did more fine tuning with it.
This is actually at the delivery in our clinic, driving down the hallway. Actually, programming was all about, she pretty much drives in the elevated seat position so that she can see. So I actually had to program the chair around that as opposed to actually being low in the normal position. And this is actually the second one's kind of the funnest video. I'm standing there videoing her, and she stopped 2 feet in front of me. It was perfect.
Where she is now, she has since lost all ability to color, draw with her feet. She was cutting with her toes and everything, and now she can't move her legs. She's lost trunk control, so you can see her very slouched position. We try, yeah, there's no more shoulder girdle movement. She uses a BiPAP a lot of the time, so we put that on her chair. And the coolest part that we didn't get on here was her janitor at school. She got really frustrated because she got in trouble for not raising her hand, just shouting out an answer. So the janitor at school glued together Legos and put a light on it so she can hit a switch to have a light go off. So when she raises her hand, that's how it was very cool that the janitor did this. But you know, you can see she still thankfully has had enough head control to drive. But again, there's no ability for her to climb in and out of the chair or walk again.
When she came in before this, she came in for another follow-up, which was basically they wanted a better access switch for her raising her hand. But also she was getting weaker, harder to stay in front of the joystick because of the loss of her core, all of that. And you can see in some of these videos, she's really slouched. Tried several different options and actually ended up with totally against everything we believe in, but a matrix back like 2 inches wider. So it actually hugged her shoulders to actually keep her stable. And that was about the only way we could keep her almost completely upright to be able to drive.
And to back up to her initial evaluation, we chose not to use any sort of foot joystick because fatigue was an issue for her. And we didn't want to use her one access to daily life and coloring and everything like that. And these are two pictures. She has since colored with her chin joystick, or her chin, using a mouth joystick. Mouth stick with the marker on it. Can't talk.
She was drawing with her feet initially too. So she was actually holding a pen, drawing with her feet. Another reason why we didn't go with foot control.
And then our next little boy is a 2-year-old that had to rely on caregivers to help him. He had no upper extremities. He did have a 4-inch residual humerus, had a 4-inch leg length difference, but he also had no hip capsules and no true, I think he might have had a true knee joint on the right leg. And this is him the first time we saw him. He's under 2 here, just to give you a little bit of a window of his abilities. And he wanted to move. And I worked with some students in University of Michigan biomedical engineering for their senior project. They wanted to have a project, and so we introduced him to Benjamin, and they created the wombat, they called it. And I'll just let both of these roll. That they basically made all of this from scratch, much tweaking, so he could actually move around his house. He could get in and out of it independently, get down on the floor and go. And it worked really well for him for the bridge to, I think, you know, the issue of taking a power chair taking forever. This they made in about 8 weeks. So, but that was again weekly meetings and stuff like that. And he wanted mobility. This is him. This is the first time he's really trying to walk, and he was freaking out, like, "Dad, you know, don't go away." And then he got to the point where he could fall and he could get back up, but like scooting across his floor, he was crazy fast. That's his first power chair there in the background. The first time for delivery of his first power chair, which was the koala, we weren't sure how he was going to access it. We were going to try feet. So I think in this video, he's actually using his foot to drive. But he quickly showed us that he did not want it at his feet. I think this one's still his foot. And again, this is all like first and second appointment of delivery. And then this is the first time we gave him the joystick on his armrest using his 4-inch residual limb, and he insisted on having the ball. And, you know, it was like, actually made the shot, but it's still sort of crazy to think that, he's got this 3-inch limb, he's holding the ball and he's driving his chair before he's done anything. So, and then this is the new power chair. I'll let Matt talk about this. So I followed him at school, and the big thing is he didn't want to be different than other kids. And so it's without arms, he is a 50-pound, 45-pound block. And teachers aren't going to pick him up to put him into his chair. So we had to figure out a way, how is he going to get into the chair independently? How is he going to be safe? How can he be completely independent in his classroom? He can get down. He actually walks a fair amount now in the classroom. It's not functional distance, but in a classroom in his house, he can walk. I don't know how much longer that's going to last because, again, he doesn't have hip joints. But we wanted to figure out how can we make him completely independent. And I'm going to let Matt talk about how we figured that out.
So yeah, when I saw him, he'd already been in a power chair. He was driving with the residual limb, with the big Permobile, big old joystick on the side. And one of his big goals was he wanted to get in the chair by himself. So again, went with motion, again, simply because of electronics, keeping all the custom items in one. We came up with the power height adjustable foot platform. Not quite the way I wanted. I wanted it to be able to go all the way to the floor and then all the way to the seat cushion, but we're only limited to 14 inches of travel. So we had to kind of compromise a little bit. He was able to back up, get onto it. Also wanted the power flip up foot platform. Can't do both. So that was kind of some of the things that we had to compromise when speccing the chair. And then the other thing, you can actually see there's two different, oh, actually, no, that's right. We did actually try to go with the Movis smaller joystick, try to make it a little less obtrusive out there on the side, having buttons for his on, off, and mode switches and stuff like that. He had that for about 2 weeks and absolutely hated it. Too small. It made the chair too jumpy, all this stuff. I'm like, well, we can do programming, all this stuff. And I just want my other joystick back. So made a call to Motion. They were nice enough to donate a new joystick for me, and we mounted that on for his arm, and
he had
up and running.
He had the chest prompt that he could bring around so he could independently secure himself to the chair. And this is where he is now.
See, he does not have that anymore. He did not like that either.
They also trimmed the foot plate for him. Family did. Dad's a little bit of a MacGyver, and so I asked Mom to send me some current video of him using this chair.
Captain America.
I do love the fact that he has this Captain America. I'm just gonna let these roll simultaneously. And he was like, "Really, you want my video?" Like lights up a room, but not in these videos. It's just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, and then he'll lower himself down, and I would love to say somebody in a previous presentation talked about how long it takes to get somebody into their new equipment out of their old chair. I will say his dad MacGyvered an old Permobile, put a tractor seat on it, and that's where he shows up on social media and all of his mom's posts. And I called her, I'm like, what's wrong with the chair? He's like, he just doesn't want to be different. It's got so many bells and whistles. It's like, okay, so him driving in a like he's not noticed. Okay. But anyway, so that's where we are now. And he is starting to use it now that we've gotten rid of the swing away seatbelt. And then also they trimmed the foot plate. So any questions? Last, he's 8 years old.
Was the first girl ever ruled out for juvenile ALS?
She was. Yeah,
So
she actually
early.
even went to Rare Diseases Clinic at NIH, and they've not figured anything out.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, that's what we thought initially presented. She actually presented like a central cord the very first time, and then you could see her getting weaker in her legs too.
Her mother had some disorder also. She was adopted, and didn't her mother have
I don't know. I don't think they know a lot about,
I was just curious, I'm trying to problem solve an independent transfer for a kiddo from floor to their chair.
Mhm.
And I noticed your rising platform. I was just curious which one that was.
I'm sorry, which,
The rising seat,
Platform
the
to help
foot
him
plate
get into
that
the
went up.
chair?
that, actually, both systems were completely motion
Okay.
concepts.
Okay, thank you.
You have 14 inches of range on it.
And I will say, I got a call from the director of children's special health on the little boy. Like, tell me why you need a power chest prompt to come over. And I said, so he can be completely independent in his chair. Because he has the foot platform to get up to the seat and then he can put that, she's like, oh, that makes so much sense. You can do that? I didn't know you could do, so she's like, of course I'll approve it. That saves so much paperwork.
Sorry if you already mentioned, how did he activate the power elevating from the floor? Was it a,
In his hip guide, we just put attached mini cup switch in the, underneath the foam.
That's why he's leaning, and when he gets higher, amazing core strength. Any other questions? All right, we'll turn it over to Ed.